through a really bad experience, another one before. Losing a man, losing a relationship, yeah, okay, abusive one is really traumatic, but it's nothing else like losing your own child, okay? Losing your own child, I mean, in my experience, what happened is my son, I lost custody over my son because, because he had an accident. He tripped over the step. It was a concrete step. There's lots of things, reasons for this. It's not just one person, not me. It's not just me. That they blame me, but it was proven it wasn't my fault. Obviously, had an accident. Anyway, my old house, the kitchen was tiny. Only one person could really. It was supposed to be renovated, and I tried my best. I really did for it to be renovated because it wasn't healthy. The mental health were involved in. The social services are a business, and they run a business, and that's a fact. That is reality. It is a business, and they do get paid a lot of money when they get adoptions, when they adopt children out to different parents, find the right parents for the child at the time, however they are, what colour hair they've got, and whatever. So you don't always win. You don't. When you're like me, I was vulnerable. I was under the mental health, had bipolar disorder. I haven't got it, but I have actually been diagnosed and was diagnosed. But that's another story. But anyway, that was how it was then. I had bipolar disorder, and maybe I've got it now. Anyway, so I was being bullied by my daughter's dad. So, and he was helping the authorities, telling lies, putting mud on my name, going up to schools. I had narcissistic abuse. I was an abusive. I wasn't even married to the guy. I wasn't even, he just wanted control over me and my daughter and wanted to take my daughter constantly. I wasn't battling. I would never put him down in front of her. I was trying to work with him. I actually gave him loads of access, but it wasn't enough. Like, narcissists don't have enough. They never have what they want enough of. So anyway, I was going through terrible abuse, but I put up with it, in a way, to stop him from taking my daughter. I was fearful, I was scared because he kept bullying me, and he even bullied me when I was pregnant. And so I went for a lot. Then I had my son, and he wasn't planned, but he was welcomed into the world and wanted. So there was a lot going around about baby P, and people's minds were being, in the family, a set-minded people. My ex-partner was a narcissist. Parents were behind pulling the strings, puppet master, pulling my ex's strings, not wanting me as a mother, not wanting my daughter in, their grandchild in their own mother's life, me. And my ex-partner was going along with it because obviously he was being bullied, he was being pushed and pressed like some narcissistic parents do, sway you. No disrespect to Chris Watts' mum, but, there is things said, God bless you, if you're watching this, there are things said about her, their parenting and being a little bit narcissistic because of what happened to Chris, maybe, or maybe they are that way. But in my case, it was the same with the grandparents. They were totally against me. They hated me. They didn't want me with my own daughter. And, it sounds in the story, the experiences and everything that happened in the Watts case that I was watching, they were kind of like that to Shanann. So it is possible, and it was possible, and it happened in my life. And my son got taken away because he fell over and broke his femur bone, and he healed, and it was a circumstance. I went to the toilet. He couldn't come in with me. The toilet was very small. This specific house I was living in was a tiny house, and it shouldn't have been like that. And even the mental health tried to change the circumstances, the house layout, get it renovated. They helped the Priory, the there was another place I went to because I was getting bullied by my ex, and I was put into hospital with my my son, and the mental health actually monitor you it's a hospital where you take your baby, mother and baby unit. So they monitored me, but I also, you know, looked after my son. You have to prove that you're a good mum. You are, you know, up to being a good mum, up to being a mum, up to, you know, being on medication and looking after yourself and your child. You're basically monitored, watched, you know, and helped and supported. They're really nice. And social services came in straight away into the hospital, and after they said my assessment was good, the outcome, I was, you know, they never really knew the extent of the abuse that I was going through. I was just getting through the circumstances and getting through the, you know, solicitors and paperwork and dealing with my daughter, keeping my daughter, and dealing with keeping my son at the same time. So I was being attacked from all directions. One person, me, I wasn't married, I was being bullied. And yes, I was in this mother and baby unit, and social services tried to go behind to try to take over and make a decision of taking my son off me when he was a baby, when he was 6 months old. And the mental health backed me up, rightfully so, because I was doing really well. And, you know, you can actually be a good parent. You can actually, if people let you, you know, be a good mother, you can. But if you're being attacked from all directions, you know, you still try and carry on, and you still get on with life, and your mission and your job is to look after your baby because you're being monitored, being watched. You know, you go home, you still get, you know, for a while they were still around you, and you still get monitored by mental health. Okay, so that was back before he broke his leg. So they couldn't do anything about it. They didn't do nothing. I went to the MP, Royston Smith, bit in Southampton, about the layout of the. He said, I can't do anything about your son being taken off you because I lost the case. They took him off me. They took him away. And, you know, they you know, I tried so hard, and it broke my heart. I had to move house. Because of the memories, and also I still had my daughter, but she was taken from me while I was grieving. I had my son taken off me, so the narcissist ex, my daughter's dad, stepped in to make sure he knew what he was doing. He was planning this all, you know, he tried to destroy me, and never stopped. So like machines, they just keep going and keep going and keep going. It's nothing to be proud about, and it's not good. So he wanted me to die, and he wanted me to be destroyed. That's what his game was, to have his daughter to himself. And it's only to win, it's only to, you know, he loves his daughter, I believe. You know, I'm not saying he's, you know, a completely bad parent, but what he was doing to me was, you know, my daughter was suffering, and I'd lost my son. So she was going through that as well, and she was being taken away from me. So it's not just about me. But anyway, in my experience as a mother, the worst pain I've ever suffered and been through, the worst grief, was losing my son. He didn't die, he's alive. That's a blessing. Some people say it's worse. Some people say it's just as bad. But no, in reality, he's still alive, thank God. And no, I don't see him because I stood up for myself in court and the judge didn't like it. Okay? I was against, I didn't have a chance because I was lied, things were being twisted and turned, and there was lies. And my barrister, I had a barrister, I thought if I had a barrister instead of a solicitor, I've got more of a chance, I'll probably win. But even the barrister, there were so many social services members. There was a woman, okay, that's committed suicide. My son's social worker, they took, I don't know for what reason, but there might have been a good reason, okay? Sometimes there is, but sometimes there isn't a good reason, not a good enough reason. some people, I believe, should be helped. They just need a little bit of help. But it's easier for them to just take babies sometimes and children. It isn't always legit. So that's what I mean by authorities. Authorities don't always get it right. Authorities get it wrong. Okay? And anyway, the point is, I lost my son through, and I had to see him cry. I fought tooth and nail. I was bullied in the contact centre. The social services come up to me, come up to my face, right in front of me, so that they wanted a reaction. They wanted something on me because I was doing everything they wanted. I did a course, you know, on it's a certain course, but it's about it's learning about your toddler's cues and, you know, language, and being more aware, and emotions, and just sort of general course on, you know, learning, teaching, being taught more about being more aware of your child's needs and emotions and stuff like that. Just a general one, a lot of us done. And I passed and got a certificate. I did earn that certificate as well. So I did that, and I stayed in hospital, in the general hospital, with my son for 3 weeks, and I was by his side every night, every day. I was in the hospital and I didn't leave him. I was being monitored. I was being, you know, looked at and watched like in a controlled environment, and everything I did good was wrong to them. I couldn't do anything right. They were out for my gut. They were out for me from the start. Do you know what I mean? And they were making it difficult for me, and they were saying things and writing down things that weren't true. So that went against me, but I still didn't sign anything. You know, I was doing this on my own, and I didn't know how to cope with it, but I was doing it the best way I could, so I didn't sign anything, because I thought if I signed something, they'll take them straight off me. And this is not the point, but I even smelled smoke. I've got a strong sense of smell. When I was in hospital, I could smell somebody from a very far away. I was very far away from somebody's room in the last hospital I went, and I was in, in Basingstoke, the Parklands, Ministry of Defence or something. Some soldiers were there or something, and they called it Ministry of Defence. I don't know if that's right, but anyway, it's Parklands and Basingstoke, and I was far away from this patient's room, and I could smell cigarettes, and I knew who it was, and I knew from afar. Okay, I was in the living room, and there's lots of rooms, and she was at the end. So that was good. I stopped the fire from happening, you know. So anyway, I could smell smoke. The nurses in the general hospital, this is what happened. Was smoking in a room, in the staff room place where they have a coffee and they just sit down. But there was a main table sort of section at the front where they all stood round and watched me. But other people were doing the same thing, but they would just had eyes on me, because obviously they knew social services wanted to come and take my son. But I stayed with him because he's my son, and you can't expect a loving mother to just give your son up. You want to fight tooth and nail to keep them, naturally. And they knew that. They knew that I was a good mum. I never missed a contact with my son at the contact centre, and I made it as happy, as nice as possible, and they picked on me all the way. They did. And there was a lot of stories in there that was told for other people, and it was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. They put my son in foster care. It was the first time he went in 2 foster care places. He was fostered twice. Taken off me in the general hospital screaming, I want my mum, and I had to walk away. Can you imagine what they put him in foster care. The foster carer was abusive. She was recorded. A lady at the contact centre was at the contact centre, and she was staying at the same foster. She had a foster placement in the same home as my son was placed in foster care, and she recorded the abuse that my son got, and she pressed play on the tape recorder, and my son was screaming. The lady was saying, he was saying, I want my mummy, screaming, I want my mum, mummy, mummy. And the foster carer was swearing and shouting at my son, and she actually was saying that I was a cunt, a bitch, a slag. Your mum's nothing but a slag. My son was 3.5 years of age, and having to hear that, I got slated, I got put down by his, there's quite a few social services, but they've got different names. She told me, it's not your job, Amanda, to get involved. Yeah, he's still my son. We haven't gone through court yet. You haven't actually taken him off me. He's in foster care temporarily at this point. But she said it wasn't my job. They're like cold, stone cold. Social services don't have to be stone cold to take people's kids off you. If you're going to take somebody's child away, everybody has a right to be, respected. With human beings, and mothers especially. When a mother's child is taken off them, when your child is taken off you, when you want that child, you don't actually take drugs, you don't actually smoke around them, you don't actually abuse them, you love them, you nurture them, you clothe them, you buy for them, you put your everything into being a mother. That was my purpose. I knew it would be hard. I was taking a huge gamble, but I tried my best. Considering I was getting abused, considering I had to go through court as well while I was in the mother and baby unit, ringing up. This shouldn't have been allowed. This should have been against the law. This is what goes on in hospitals. I was getting put through court while I was in hospital, supposedly getting better, but I was just being abused, and it was used and said that it was my bipolar disorder that was a problem, right? And now there's people around the neighbourhood. They're puppets being puppeted by people. Anyway, I'll make another video about that, don't worry. So I was getting, I must be such a bad person, you must be thinking, having all this done to me. I was getting bullied. I didn't actually do anything wrong. I'd be in jail, wouldn't I? I'd get charges, I'd be arrested. I didn't get arrested, I didn't go to jail, didn't get no sentence, didn't get a fine. Just got my son taken off me. That was my crime. And it's a crime for people to bully you, mentally abuse you, and nearly destroy you and make you want to commit suicide, because my ex-partner, my daughter's dad, took my son away from me. That affected his own daughter as well, to be right, because he wanted what he wanted, to get his own way. And then he came in as a hero, because I said, if you take my daughter away from me, because he was saying, I'm not sick, you can't see her this Christmas. He was doing his usual. This was going on for 16 years. Every Christmas he'd stop me. I'd have to go to court and get my daughter back. I'd have to get a court order, pay it. What is this, because I'm not giving in? Is this because I'm the bad person for keeping strong, for keeping my daughter with me where she needed to be? Wasn't abusive. I've made mistakes because I was being pushed to my limits. I messed up sometimes, shouted at my daughter or something, but you can't be a perfect, person without any emotions when you're being pushed, bullied, mentally, sexually, physically. Not physically, sorry, he didn't actually physically, but he was using me and abusing me. Okay? So, what I'm saying is, I turned to alcohol because my kids have just been. Caitlin, with my daughter, was still with me, and there was no law. The judge, when he took my son away for adoption, decided that it was best to, best to be adopted, taken out of the family, just away from me. My two daughters had contact, thank God, but I didn't have any. So it's strange, really strange, because the baby Pete, they toughened up, but they went too far. They were taking kids away that had things wrong with them, but they were accused of being abusive and breaking their bones. It was rickets, and they adopted this child out, and they found out when they were adopted that this child had rickets, not abusive evidence. It wasn't bruises or broken bones by the parents. So they were left. They had to fight tooth and nail to get him back, but because he'd already been adopted, it was impossible for, it was back then. That's when I got my child taken, when everybody was getting their kids taken away. And, I did survive suicide. I tried to drink myself to death, but God didn't allow that. I woke up, I was in a relationship. My social worker gave me the number for a removal man that had a little van, and he became my boyfriend because I was vulnerable, and I gave in, and I just thought I liked him a little bit at the time, and I thought it was a bit of company, and he caused a lot of trouble, and he was very violent on alcohol, and when we both drunk, it was worse because I was in pain, and I wanted to numb my pain, and I didn't know how to cope without my son, because it's been one of the most worst things, the worst thing that's ever happened to me is my little son being taken away from me, okay? My little son. And to me, it was like something died, something I've actually felt. When I went in his room before I moved, I used to close the door because my daughter got really upset because she couldn't see him. He wasn't in his room, and I kind of like, my grief was so strong that when I was sat in my room, I felt guilty because I wasn't sat in his room. Grief can cause so many problems, make you feel, obviously grief is a loss. It's like my son did die because he wasn't there anymore, wasn't visible. I couldn't touch him, give him a hug. He never ran up to me. I couldn't, blah, blah, blah. So it's been about 7 years now, so, I can talk about it. But the experience will never, ever, I'll never forget it, how I could actually, my heart was breaking. I was laying on his bed and I felt my heart crack. And I know what it means now when people say you can die from heartbreak, people, the pain is real in your heart. I could feel it hurt, and part of me died. A new me became, and, I went through the grief, I cried, and you get used to it. It's like a death in the family, you get used to it. With time, you heal. You don't forget it. You don't get over, it's not something that makes you feel happier. It's not something that you can, change. But you have to accept that you can't change that. I have accepted. And obviously I don't know where he lives. I don't want to know where he lives because it's not my business now. He's not in my care, and I don't write to him, or, I don't write because I think that would be, it's too much for him and too much for me. So my ex-partner drove me to suicide nearly. I said to him, you might as well kill me. I might as well die. I might as well just commit suicide. If you take, a lot of people did when they had their kids, they still do when they have their kids taken off. We're left, in my opinion, social services take people's children and leave the mothers, the parents, to suffer and grief and die. I've been inside the system. I see their faces in court. They're very proud of what they do. They're cold. They're very, very cold. And the judges, they're the eye for the judge, because there were so many and things weren't proven, the things that we've even said, and they didn't even entertain the recorded the recorded message that my son was crying and screaming for me, that was recorded. The judge didn't entertain it. They just slapped the social worker's wrist, really, and said, it was a bad choice of she shouldn't lose her job. It was a bad choice of foster care. So I turned to drink, and I met somebody for company. I didn't know him from Adam, just got to know him a little bit, and drunk and smoked loads and loads of weed, because I was in grief. I wanted to die. I didn't care about myself. I really didn't. I thought, this is it. I've got no kids around me. I'm used to being a mum. It's so new. It's so, I'm left and feel naked, vulnerable, because I don't know. It's just total change from a mother for so many years, and then you're on your own. So I met somebody. I was in a vulnerable state. I had an eye operation as well, and that was quite bad. The eye operation wasn't, but it wasn't long after that I developed this really bad pain in my head. I think it was before I met this person that I had that pain in my head, because what happened was he poisoned my drink, because we fell out beforehand. He stole money from my account, and he was gambling online, and I found out through the bank that he was, doing that. So he stole a lot of money, but I let him back in because I didn't care. It was a mistake. I didn't care about myself. He kept harassing me. I did tell the police. He kept harassing me. He was stood at the door all the time, and I was weak. I was in a vulnerable position. I didn't care about myself. I made a mistake, and I let him in, and he poisoned my drink, and that led me to taking tablets, which gave me loads of fits, epileptic seizures. Lots of seizures on the street, and I the only thing I can remember about those seizures was grabbing hold of my bag because somebody was taking it from me, and I realise now. You don't get told. I didn't get told nothing afterwards about this, but I realised, and I remember seeing this man's face, that he was trying to take hold of my bag and helping me. I thought he was trying to rob me, because I've been robbed before. I've been mugged before. I have. When my daughter was with me, with my ex-partner, walking back from the pub, we were having lunch, and I got mugged. These boys went past on their bikes, these teenagers, and just whipped my handbag out of my. So I was trying to hold on to my handbag. It's just like, oh, my handbag. So anyway, I blanked out having these seizures, and I woke up in the general hospital. Okay, and I remember just walking around the hospital, and I don't know what happened. I don't know where I was. I remember punching someone. Right, I must have looked really mad, really violent, but don't forget, I've just come out of, not coma, being unconscious because I was having seizures. So something triggered me to get up, walk around, and the next thing I'm laying down, and there's people all around the hospital, and I'm laying down with these two, they were coloured. I can't remember. I think they were Asian or coloured or something, and this kind of, I thought I was going to get shot in the head. This man, it's trauma, isn't it? This man, PTSD, this man said, what is it you want? I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? What does this man want from me? And then I just had it in my head, I'm going to get shot. And the next thing I know, there's some weird things that I saw. There's, you know, my mind wasn't right, I don't think. I just see some things and hear some things. And I even remember seeing my eldest daughter, Jade. I'm sure she was there. I don't know why. I think, anyway, it was all weird. So that's what happened. And then they put me into Parklands Hospital. So it was before that, I had all the pain in my head. And I was going mad around the hospital because I was in so much pain that I couldn't get rid of. That paracetamol didn't touch it, my pain. All the strong painkillers in the world, they were giving me everything. I was taking everything. It was like I was overdosing on purpose, but I was only overdosed. I was only taking the tablets, loads and loads of tablets, to stop the pain. That's all I wanted. I was in so much pain, it was driving me mad. It was making me sick. I couldn't eat. Even the police were, the beat officers were around my house, trying to, they didn't know what to do. They thought I was mad. They tried to put me into the Antelope House mental hospital. I wasn't mentally ill. I was really, really sick. I was having pain. I was having this pain, man. I don't know where it was coming from. Okay? And everyone's like looking at me like, I'm like the doctors, you know. This pain is so intense, so painful that I had to keep calling out the ambulance. I was embarrassed. You know, the neighbours and the ambulance all the time kept turning up. The police were in my head. You know, police were getting through the window because I couldn't answer the doors upstairs in pain. So they got through the window, I gave them a key, you know, and what the hell's going on? And they even drug tested me. They even, you know, made a test on alcohol because the police were like, don't take her to hospital again. She can't keep going to the hospital. And the ambulance, you know, they were arguing. They were like, no, we'll test her for drugs, we'll test her for alcohol, and we'll see. So that was clear because I wasn't drinking. I'd give it up. Okay? I gave it up. So the lovely ambulance lady said, she's not on alcohol, she's coming to hospital. Because it's not really, it's obvious I was in pain, you know? But for some reason these officers, I think they're making it worse. Because they were just staring at me. They didn't know what to do, maybe. They're not medical people. But why were they there? You know, was I being, you know, were they trying to charge me? Trying to, you know, put cuffs on me because I was in pain? It was the most surreal pain. It was real. I'm not, you know, anyone in the right mind is not going to make up being in pain and having, it's not fun, it's not beneficial to me to just ring up the hospital every, you know, couple of days, you know, every day, maybe every couple of days or whatever, and it ended up being 21 times, 21 or 22, I'm not going to do that, am I? What person in their right mind would do that? I wasn't in my right mind because I was in my right mind, right? I knew what was going on. I had pain. It was just the most painful situation. The pain was just, oh my God, really, really bad. Obviously to go all the time. I was the only one ringing up. You know, my dad came around once and then the authorities came in and said, you just want company, Amanda. Because they knocked on my door. They kept coming around to check me. I didn't feel like they were on my side. They helped me. You know, they did. I remember how they helped me a couple of times. Because I was like, look, I'm wasting away. I'm not eating because of the pain. I don't feel like eating. I can't move. I'm in bed because I'm on these pain. It was the most nightmarish, hellish thing I've ever been to. and I went to the doctors. My dad was with me. My dad caused me a lot of trouble before, actually. But anyway, that's another story. My dad was with me and went to the doctors with me because I needed to go and see someone again because it still wasn't gone. I kept going to the hospital. You know, they put me on drips, which is good because they were flushing out whatever I was taking, the painkillers I was given, and whatever I was taking, I kept overdosing, not to kill myself, but to get rid of the pain. So, you know, it's obvious these painkillers just weren't working, what they were giving to me, and I thought it was my eye, because this pain just came on, and it wasn't long after I had my eye, so admittedly, I did think it was my eye, and so it was driving me mad, so I must have, you know, I must have looked really mental in the head and really crazy, going around this hospital. People must have been scared, I understand that. It was scary for me. You know, I couldn't see what they see. All I wanted was pain to go. And even some of the police officers that were there, you know, saying, they knew exactly, you know, I was in pain. And they said, get on top of the pain, Amanda. That's what I'm trying to do. But the doctor said there was nothing there. They gave me a brain scan. There was nothing there to show that there was anything wrong with me. But I could feel this pain. Whether it was psychosomatic or not, it was real to me. And it was real. Anyway, so I went to the doctors with my dad, and I saw this doctor. He's like God to me. He gave me aspirin, and it went away straight away. Aspirin thins the blood, so it was something to do with the pressure in my head, the blood. After 21 times going to the hospital, I found a cure. And then I went to see a psychic medium. Psychic Cafe, London Road, and I said, mate, I know this sounds really weird, but I had an experience, a horrible experience, and my head, I was in total pain, and I've had head trouble. Apparently, it's an equivalent of having a brain tumour, a spirit that's moved on, that's any spirit. He said he experiences pains, he feels a spirit's pain that has moved on, that's died, you know, it's crossed over, that are in pain. You know, before they died, they were in pain. And all I can think of, I don't know why this happened, I don't know why he did this, if it was him or not, but my previous house I was living in, that was haunted, but my neighbour, Peter, died, he had 2 brain tumours, and he was screaming in pain, and I didn't always go and see him because I couldn't face it. I was a coward, but I looked after him. I stopped him from choking himself. You know, I went to see him, I was there with him, but it was the last day or 2 before he died that I couldn't face the screams. He should have been in hospital. I didn't know what to do. It frightened me. He was shouting so loud in pain, like me, in hospital. He had 2 brain tumours, and they took him away that day, and he went to the hospital to get more morphine, and he died. And so I think it was him I was feeling his pain. The psychic medium didn't tell me why. You know, this might sound crazy to you, it's crazy to me, but that's what I got told. I felt the pain of a person that died that was having pain in their head, a brain tumour. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's the truth. So, I don't know what to say. You know, all I can say is I'm really sorry if, you know, I caused any trouble, if I caused anyone, through my pain of losing my son, through the circumstances of losing my daughter, through all that, and being bullied and being abused, and, you know, this pain, this eye operation, was traumatic, because you can see it was to me, but I didn't think it was that traumatic, but obviously it was. They put it down to my pain in my head, trauma from having an eye operation. There's so many different things that it could be, because they stick a tool through your eye. You're awake and you can see everything that they're doing. They're pulling out. I've got an eye condition, PVD, mysterious detachment disorder. Mysterious virtuous detachment, yeah. And yeah, they pull out the floater, the jelly. It's coming away at the back of my eye. It's quite natural with my prescription type and my my age. You know, I'm 44 and it's starting. You know, it's natural at my age, and I've got astigmatism in my eye, which means I've got rugby shaped eyeballs instead of round ones. So that's why I've got this condition. So I could see all the everything they were doing to me, my eye, and it probably did traumatise me as well. It didn't help. So I had that too. I was going through. So I'm really sorry, you know, and but you know, I didn't mean any harm. I was just in a bad way, and I had an operation, and I had all that trauma, all that everything going on, and you know, it could have been stress as well, and plus bloody, I don't know, spirit pressing his, give me his pain. I felt his pain. Maybe it's the grief of losing my friend that I took on his pain. I could feel his pain because that's what empaths do. That's what empaths are. And it is known that I have the gift of discernment as well. So I've got to go. I've made this long video. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.